Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. This is part 2 of the dresses on the dress forms. Now, these two dresses are going to be on display in the Dress Shop Dollhouse showroom. So I'm actually just kind of freestyling a lace dress onto the form. And I just wanted this to be something like really dainty, really fancy, kind of like the type of item that really shows off the ability of the seamstress or dressmaker. So that if they can make something like this, they can make just about anything. So I just cut out a couple pieces of lace that will be the sleeves for this garment. Now I've already cut a piece and kind of pinned it around the dress form just as a placeholder. Now I'm just kind of dry fitting the sleeve as far as the length to make sure it's not too long. And I am using my tacky glue. And after I glued the sleeves to kind of shape them the way I wanted them to be shaped. Now this is a really nice lace. It doesn't have a tendency of fray, but I do need to kind of shape the tops of the sleeves or the part that would be considered the shoulder to make it look a little bit more natural. And I did shorten it a bit. Now that looks a lot neater, and I need to make them uniform. So little things like that, dolls, you have to look out for. You don't want to make it unnaturally long, although I've made my doll's arms longer than probably proportionally, but on these dress forms, I don't need to do that. So just want to make it nice and neat. And I'm just adding a little bit of glue right to the part where I'm going to attach it because I want the arms to hang free. Now here I'm just playing with the body of the dress. And after I played with the body of the dress, I realized I needed something to cover the front or the bodice. It's going to kind of be like a jacket dress. So I added a piece of lace around the front, almost like a tube top or halter type thing. And I just glued it directly to the form. And I thought that was kind of cute, and I was able to like fit it really neat around the waist. And so I decided now to just add a little glue to the back. And again, this is a nice weight lace, so it actually takes the glue really well. And I'm really glad that I did the bodice of the dress form in that kind of nude or wheat color. So this lace actually just blends in really nicely because the lace is sort of like a mauve or antique pink color. So like I said, it looks very, very nice, very neutral. So I'm just gluing back the edges or the front of the jacket so that they'll look finished because I don't want it to be sticking out and looking uneven. Now I've got the bodice glued on. I've glued the back of the jacket and I'm finishing off these edges. Now you see I'm just adding a little glue along the front of the piece so I can fold it back. I'm really tickled with the way this is turning out because it really has come together really quickly. I'm just playing with the back of the jacket, but that looks really, really cute. Now there is the matter of the skirt or the front of the dress, but I'll handle that in a minute. Now I'm going to go ahead and add on the sleeves because I left them loose to allow the sleeves or the glue to get a little tacky, and I'm cutting out a small piece or trim. So dolls, I'm working, but I'm getting more ideas as I work, so I had to stop and cut them out. Now right here I'm cutting out some small flowers, which will be the finishing pieces to the top of the sleeves, but I'm just cutting them out so they'll be ready after I've added the sleeves. So the sleeves are attached, and I do want to add a little bit glue under the arm just to make it lay a little closer to the body so that it's not looking like it's flying away. And if you look closely, you can see I've added two little flowers to the shoulders to kind of make it look like that's a finishing decoration at the top. I'm shaping the sleeves a little bit so they won't look so flat. Now let me hold it so you can see what I've got so far. I really like the way this is coming along. Now I did find a little piece that I'm going to glue across the back to make it look more like an actual collar in the back. And I added a little bit of glue and glued that little part down and then attached a collar I created from a part of the lace design. I truly like working with lace pieces because there's so many beautiful designs within the lace pattern that you can actually use as the components to your garment. So I do have a tendency to use a lot of lace because I can see my way through just by the designs in the lace pattern. Now at this point, my little dress is almost done. I just need to add a skirt to the front, and I cut another piece of the lace in a similar shape as I did for the back of the jacket, and I'm just going to tuck it around the sides, around the hip area to the dress. Now here I'm just basically kind of doing like a dry fit, try fit type of thing to see if the idea in my mind is going to actually work on the garment. And when I realize that it will, I go on to add my glue. After I just added a few dots of glue, I went on to start to add the piece of fabric right in the same shape to connect it to the bodice and the jacket part, taking the time to neatly tuck everything away so you won't know where the garment begins or ends, and lay it so that it'll lay nice and smooth under the garment as if she has on a skirt or maybe a chemise type dress with a long duster coat or jacket on. Now I did add additional glue along the sides to make sure that it stayed closed because I didn't want it to gap open or anything like that. So I just to make sure it was secured to the bottom or the side seam of the jacket. Now at this stage the dress is pretty much done. The sleeves are on. I've got the basic shape. The jacket and the skirt are drying together. Now I do want to add a couple of little details with it, but this is a basic dress. Now I did have a tiny piece of pink ribbon that I thought was really pretty that would add a little shine to it because this lace is kind of like a matte type thing. So this would just give it a little bit of shine. It's in the same tone or color that the lace is, but it'll just bring a little bit more attention to the waist of the garment. So I just cut a small piece of this pink satin ribbon and just tacked it around the middle just to bring, like I said, more attention to the waistline of this garment. And that's it. I really like this. So I've got one more dress form and I wanted to make another type of dress. So I got sort of like two lacy dresses, the blue dress with the rose on it. So now I wanted to make something a little bit more complex. Now this is actually an old napkin. I always loved the color of it and I thought it was a nice cotton and I felt like it would drape really nicely. So I went on to make the skirt the same way I make all the skirts dolls. I will leave a link in the description for my dressmaking for the dolls because the concept is exactly the same. But with this dress, I wanted to make it where it's sort of like a peplum style jacket, but with like sleeves, lace sleeves. Yeah, I do use a lot of lace styles. I just love laces and soft fabrics and things that look really romantic. So, yep, you're going to see a lot of that. So I was playing around with the different types of laces, trying to determine which one to use. And when I couldn't decide, I went on to work on the little blue dress. Now the blue dress had been partially completed on the dress form because I wanted it to look like it was a dress in progress, but I felt like it needed something to kind of bring it out. So I decided to add a little bit of the navy blue trim that I have around the collar part or neckline of the dress and the waist to just kind of, like I said, define it. And then I opted to add it all the way around the hem of the skirt. So I thought that would really bring it out quite a bit. And that gave me a little time to kind of think and ponder what I was going to do with the other dress. So dolls, this is just another one of those instances when you just have to step away or do something different and then the idea will come to you. And now with this one, I made the sleeves very similar to the way I made for the first lace dress. And I glued them, or glued the shoulder part directly to the form rather than to the outside of the dress. Now this is a different color lace. It's a little bit lighter weight, but the technique for making the sleeves was exactly the same. Now again, it's going to sort of be like a jacket as well, but it's going to be a sleeveless jacket on top of the lace sleeves. Now I did have to kind of pinch and fit the back of the jacket to make it contour properly. I've already added the peplum to the top of the skirt, and now I'm adding a little glue so that I can add the top part of the jacket around the waist and across the shoulders to the back of the dress. Now generally when I'm making this type of jacket, I make it in 4 pieces. So there's the peplum, which is like a half skirt, and then the back of the jacket at the top, and then I'm going to do 2 pieces in the front to cover the bodice or the front of the dress. Now you can see there kind of a rough draft. Now I do a lot of fitting when it comes to the front because you have to make accommodation for the bust line. So you definitely want to take your time. You don't want to do it too fast because you want it to look even, you want the sides to match, and you want it to completely cover the sleeve area because you don't want to see gapping or anything that will reveal that the garment has been pieced together. So in the same fashion or form, I actually glued the lace to the front of the bust line to create my blouse. And now I'm adding on the sides to the little vest or jacket to make sure they match up to the back of the jacket that I've already previously glued on. Now you want to match it nice and evenly. You want it to look even on the waistline, under the arm, and around the front. So definitely take your time. Now I did add a little additional glue in the front, and I added a little bit more glue at the top to make sure those shoulders matched up really, really nicely, really neatly, and everything laid nice and smooth. Do each side together, but still do them one at a time. Now, dolls, be patient with yourself in this process. It took me a lot longer to do this than this video. This is sincerely the edited version. Now, with the front of this dress, the lace was a little bit sheerer, so in order to add additional modesty, I added a piece of trim right down the front of the bodice. So I added a little bit of glue right to the front, and then I gently laid that little piece of trim down the front again to make it look like the closure or button area to the blouse, and it added a really nice detail. As I continued to work with the garment, I decided to fold down that little flap at the top of the lace again to add additional modesty to the front. This is one of the main reasons why I really like working with lace, because to me it gives you so many different ideas. The more you look at it, it's almost like my eye begins to kaleidoscope. So I looked at this part of the lace and I saw a collar. So I cut it out and I fit it around the neck of the garment, and it fit perfect like it was meant to be there. So I added a little tacky glue to the top of the neckline and then just laid my little lace collar right on top of that. It was a perfect fit. Again, it looked like it was meant to be there. When I brought it around to the front, it fit perfectly to the way I designed the front of the blouse. So I was really, really tickled about the way it turned out. It was not my plan. I did not have a plan. All I knew is what fabric I wanted to use, and I needed to make a dress. So I'm really happy about the way this came together. So now that the garment itself is finished, I do need to work with it to take some of the boofiness out of the skirt. And when I say boofy, just the puffiness. The fabric is beautiful, but I want it to look drapey. I want it to look like it's hanging. Now, I did kind of play around to see if I wanted to add some additional details to it, but I'm still thinking about some things. I was playing with that trim again. So I'm using a brush to add my water and glue solution, and this is the same water and glue solution that I use when I'm making my curtains and my bedspreads and things like that, to take the puff out of the fabric or to make it look more drapey. Now, there are a lot of ways to get this effect, but water and glue is inexpensive and I have lots of it on hand. And I guess I'm one of those personality types that if it's not broke, I don't try to fix it. If it stops working for me, it doesn't yield the results I want, then I guess maybe I'll look for another option. But for the time being, this always gives me the result I want. Now, right now, I'm trying to shape the skirt because I'm trying to cause it to puddle. I actually want it to look like it's dragging on the ground. And to me, that gives a really, really interesting look to the garment. You see it fits so much closer to the frame. So here we are, dolls, the dresses for the dress shop showroom and the sewing room. So the dolls are really getting ready for opening day of the dress shop, and there's so many things happening among the dolls, so I will be sharing more of that with you soon. But if you've enjoyed this video today, definitely let me know in the comments. Also, like, share, and subscribe. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of Little Gretchen's Workshop. Bye-bye now, dolls.